Dan, have you ever wondered why it seems you and I get along so well?
Um, Not really. I just, you know, I get along with everyone. You're not special.
Yeah, I just always wondered that. I am not one to analyze relationships, and I've evolved over my years, and I like all people. I don't care. And it just seems though that if you were to analyze our relationship, it's interesting that we are as close as we are. I mean, we don't mail each other Christmas cards or anything, but
No.
you're a pretty cool guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's I guess I've never really thought about that.
Yeah.
What
Well,
is it? Hmm.
yeah, let me ask you some questions, okay?
Oh,
And
okay.
you give me your honest answer. All right. Here we go. Dan, do we have different parents?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have different siblings?
Yes.
Do we have the same did we grow up in the same state?
No, we did not.
Did we grow up in the same years?
Close. I think you're a couple years older than me. But close.
Yeah. Did we go to different schools?
Yes, we did.
Did we go to different did we have different friends?
Yes, we did.
Did we have different hobbies?
I believe so. I think
Uh-huh.
you were kind of into a couple different sports that I wasn't into.
Yeah. Did did we play different sports? Were we
Yes.
on different teams?
Yes.
Do we like different sports franchises?
I'm guessing so. Yes.
Did we have do we work at different places?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Do we have different bosses?
Yes.
Do we have I'm just thinking of here. Do we have different people that do our taxes at the end of the year?
Yeah, yes, we do.
Do we like different restaurants?
Probably yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we're when you analyze stuff like this, we're different. We're different. We're different. Everything and everyone is different. None of us have lived the exact same way as someone else. We have
Yeah.
different interests. We were raised by different families, went to different churches, different schools, different friends, different. Dan, we're different.
We are.
So, and I think that you could probably say that with a majority of everyone, within our orbit. We're all different. All right. But why
Yep.
is it that, by golly, if we're not the same as this guy over here, then we're dumb, we're possibly evil, we hate America, and by golly, they're different. Why
Yeah.
is that, Dan?
I don't know. There is that something different. It's kind of like change. Everyone's afraid of change. And I think everyone's afraid of something different because it's out of their comfort zone.
Yeah. Well, if you have a firewood business, you shouldn't be afraid of change because all that you'll have in your pockets, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So we're different. We have, at least for us, we have different YouTube channels, but we are in the same kind of industry, but we have different markets. Our
Yep.
firewood businesses are different. All right. So why is it that a firewood business who is different would look at you and condemn what you're doing?
Oh boy, that is a good question. I think
Which,
because
which means I was reading your Facebook comments over over the weekend.
yes,
Yeah,
that's
you got some haters out there,
oh
Dan,
yeah,
because
yeah.
you do firewood different. All right, explain this to me. Why are you different and why should you care if someone else says that you're doing it wrong? You're different.
Well, I don't care what anyone says, but I think the reason that people have the feelings they do is I think it stems from being just set in a way that, they've done things their own way their whole life. They've always done the same thing. And firewood is one of those things that people look at it and they think there's only one way to do firewood. And usually it's my way. My way is the only way to do firewood.
Yeah, wow. I tell you that story? We didn't we have an episode about how we've never met anyone in the firewood industry that we didn't like, and then I thought, "No, wait a second, I have." There was there was this guy when we were out on vacation, I stopped at this firewood place. They had a bunch of machinery for sale. He's like a dealer and stuff, and gosh, this guy was just the most unpleasant person I think I've ever dealt with. And he was the person that was, if you don't do it my way, you're dumb. Everything, yeah, he was saying like, wow, you can't deliver firewood. It's got to be pickup only. You can't make money delivering firewood. And yeah, he was just, oh my gosh. I never told him what I did because I would still be down there, him yelling at me that I'm doing everything wrong. Yeah, but Dan, I was on your Facebook page, and so there's a lot of people out there who are offended about small firewood. And if people tuning in to the Woodhounds podcast don't know, Dan has, no, I don't know if you've created this industry, but you're on the tip of the spear leading this industry and this new style of fire pits, these mini pits that'll just sit on someone's picnic table. Or if you live in an apartment or a townhome, it'll set on a patio and it won't stink the place up and tick off the neighbors.
Yeah.
So Dan is now producing this miniature firewood, and it's not like 2x4s that are cut up to like little tiny sticks, but it's actual firewood. It's pretty cool. And you've developed a process to get certification for USDA certification, heat treating it so that you can mail it across state lines, and you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But
Sort of. Well,
yeah,
I
but
guess.
then reading these comments, there's people out there that disagree.
Oh yes. Yeah. It's they don't understand it. They don't, and I think one of the things that, I mean, this market has kind of been around now for a few years, but I think the fact that I'm kind of bringing attention to it is what really is getting people wound up. They look at this
Yeah.
as a waste of time. It's just little kindling. Anyone can, go out and grab a bunch of sticks to burn in these fire pits. And they just don't understand the other concept of the separation of firewood being something for recreation and not just heat. That's
Uh-huh.
the mindset of a lot of these people is that firewood is only meant for heating your house and there's no other use or application for it.
Yeah. And I get comments about I split the wood too small. And people
Yeah.
are, that's not firewood. Firewood's got to be big, so it takes longer to burn. And then there's also people too that might have like a small project where they give firewood away. And then they will point that out that you're a bad person because you're selling it for money.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So
That's the other thing is when they realize what the cost is for a box of miniature firewood, then they even get more like upset for some reason. And
yeah.
it's kind of like, you know, people, if you don't like a price of something and you're not buying it, it sure really doesn't impact you. That's really a non-factor unless you're
Yeah.
actually going to buy it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
Well
know.
said. I think miniature firewood are like bundles on steroids where, there are a lot of people out there just, man, they get fired up over bundles. It's just the end of the world. And then they look at miniature firewood and it's like, oh my gosh, it's even worse.
Yeah, it's like they think of, first of all, I've got a lot of comments about it's a waste of time. If somebody wants it that small, the customer can split it themselves. It makes no sense. I'm handling the wood too much. I'm putting too much into this product. Firewood should be cut, split, dump, go. in their minds,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Split and sell.
Split cell. Yep.
Yeah, split and sell. Yeah, I just find this interesting. And I don't think it's even like firewood related. Although I will say that there is a large population, like the guy, that dealer that I visited, that has this firewood culture in their blood, and that's it. And there's this level of offense if it's different. If a person finds a different way to skin the cat. I shouldn't say that. I like cats. What should we skin here, Dan? I don't know. Yeah, I get it too because I don't sell firewood to people who heat their houses. I find and develop the market for people that want it for special occasions, ambiance, just so they can smell some wood smoke in their house. And those are the people I go after because I found that they will pay a lot more money for a lot less firewood.
Right.
And there's a lot of people out there that have a problem with that,
Yeah.
which I would refer them to the beginning of this, that we are different, and that's not necessarily bad.
Yeah. Firewood seems to have this stigma of it, you can only be sold in bulk. It's an bulk only product. And that's where I had an exchange with a
Oh,
guy,
yeah.
and he's like, why don't you sell in bulk? And I kind of explained it, and he said, well, I've been in the firewood business for years, and I know how to lose money. And then and I'm like, yeah, because you're selling bulk firewood. That's how you lose money.
I saw that comment. I saw that comment, Dan, and I got a chuckle out of that. And then there was who was the other one? Oh, shoot, my mind's going blank now. That you engaged with a guy. He was calling you names because
Oh,
of oh, because you were trying to profit off of firewood sales when there are people suffering in this world.
yeah, that, you know,
Come on,
that's,
man. The two don't follow each other here, you know?
yeah, it's interesting always to, and then, I understand there's people out there who have just an abundance of firewood and they maybe make some for a hobby and they like to donate and give it away. But when I'm trying to build a business, I can't work off that model.
Yeah.
That doesn't
So
work.
there was one particular comment though, and this it was directed at you, but it doesn't have to be. It could be directed at everyone. And it gets down to, I think, organizational theory about how do you judge if a business or an organization, doesn't have to be a business, an organization, could be a softball team or a church or a senior center. How can you judge an organization if they are being successful, if they're being good? And this person was saying how I'm assuming it was a he, was way, way, way more relevant, productive, and better than you because he wears all of his machinery out to make a buck. Do you
Yes.
remember that comment?
Yes.
Yeah. You forwarded it to me. Because, that could also be directed at me. I try to make more money by selling less firewood. I just see the firewood industry different. So this guy would say that you are not as successful as him.
No.
And he seems to be basing this upon sweat equity, I guess, elbow grease, back-breaking work, wearing out machines determines your success in firewood. And that gets me to this question, Dan, and I thought we could discuss this today on the podcast. How do you determine if a firewood business is successful? And that would also mean too for the people out there who are giving it away as charity, or just being a humble servant of their community. How do you judge success in firewood?
Hmm.
Is it the number of cords that you produce? Because I think some people feel that way.
I know some people feel that way because along with that one individual, I've had multiple others that who will send me pictures of their mountain of firewood, and they'll say something like, "Try pushing this through your roadside stand. Just like, and it's like, I don't really care how big of a pile you have. Like, I don't know. Like, I would always, I mean, if you're running a business, obviously, profits and what you make would probably be one factor for success. If you're doing it as a hobby, I think just plain and simple, if you're getting enjoyment out of it, that's a success as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for any hobbyist, that is the standard. Are
Yeah.
you enjoying yourself? It seems that there's not going to be an easy answer, and that's probably the way it should be. It's just like any other organization that's out there. You probably just have to set your own goals to determine if you're achieving them. But I think too, it's you could still be successful without even having goals. At least for me, my first metric for success was is can we pay the house payment?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and can we keep Dr. Pepper in the refrigerator?
Ooh,
Those were
yeah.
my first two low hanging fruit. Yeah, but I don't view success for me as in how many cords I sell. I get a lot of people asking, and I don't think that they necessarily are looking to judge themselves against me. They're probably looking to see, you know, how much wood that I am moving to maintain this lifestyle, which I would argue, if we're basing this on production and cords and the amount of wood, I would think I would be very unsuccessful.
Yeah, if that's the metric you're going off of, I think that yeah, that would paint a completely different picture. And I think that's one thing people, I don't know if it just derives from people not wanting to come out and say how much money do you make. So instead they just say how many cores do you sell to kind of get a
Yeah,
barometer of your level of success or yeah, money.
yeah. And that's why I need you as a friend, Dan, because as long as I have you around, you're less successful than me. So that can make me feel good about myself.
Yes. Well, that that
Yeah.
that makes sense now. Okay, now we're finally
Uh-huh.
getting down to the
You probably have about 5 shipments of mini firewood to 1 bundle of firewood that I produce. So you're moving way less. There was someone that did a calculation on how much you're averaging a cord based upon miniature firewood, and it was something like $18,000 a cord or something.
No, yeah, it was
You were
8,500. But
$8,500 a cord. So there's a metric though on success. How much
yeah,
are you averaging per cord?
but then you have to factor in, that includes the cost of shipping, materials, time, and
Here you
what
go,
about the
YouTube accountant.
taxes?
What 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 about the taxes?
Right.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. So that is a way to I okay. I would think that a firewood company that can bang out a lot of cords, you would probably on the outside looking in say, "Wow, they're a real success." But how much money they're making, which arguably is none of our business, but if they're struggling to make ends meet and all they're doing is going to the chiropractor every, once a month to help themselves out and they're still selling their firewood at $200 a cord or whatever, is that successful? And that's what goes through my head when I get comments like that too. I still don't know what I'm doing, but uh, I look around my yard. I think, well, I'm not a total failure.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting when you think of all of the people who talk about the volumes of cords that they sell, and yet the general consensus around the firewood industry is there's no money in firewood. Yeah,
Yeah.
so like, but yet you have all these people, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cords they say they're selling each year, but then they still say there's no money in firewood.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was the that was the first thing I had ever heard, and this was back when we first got the wood furnace. Because the mantra, I was on some of these online sites, and it was, "You can't make money selling firewood. If you wanna make $1,000,000 selling firewood, start with $2,000,000," you know? And the more I looked into it, the more I agreed with them. The way people sell firewood, I'd say, "Yeah, I don't think you can. sell it this way. So why don't you change the bait, change the way that you do things, and try to find different ways to be successful.
And then you have to come up with defining success, just like you've been doing here. Yeah, that's one
Uh
of the
huh.
things is how can you be successful? In my mind, I just look at if I'm happy at the end of the day, it's a success. That's
Yeah.
all. It doesn't take much.
Yeah. This was loosely related to a discussion I had with a restaurant owner 2 weeks ago. And I've been with this guy for a long time and I sell him oak. And he has an offset and it's got a burn. So I can't take him green oak. So I have a 2-year-old oak. And he starts one day, and all these restaurants are, they're all struggling with high prices and stuff. But what the heck? So am I.
Yeah.
The price of a triaxle truck has almost doubled since I got started in this. So my expenses are up too. So this guy is, he's rolling me, trying, about beating me up over the price is too high. The price is too high. And he saw firewood on Facebook that was practically half of what I'm charging him, you know? And that's where I'm looking at now. Here we go. You cannot compare my firewood. It would be like me telling him that mm, why would I want to buy your barbecue when I can get a McRib at
Yes.
McDonald's, with a free fry? That would be an insult to him to compare his food with a McRib. Well, what the heck? This is 2-year-old oak that I bought 2 years ago and split small and stacked north and south so that it dries out for you. And you're comparing me to a split and sell company who's going to be bringing you firewood that tree was alive last week. It's not an apples to apples comparison.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know, that whole sequence got me started with, these this if he were to approach one of these guys, I'm sure they would be bad mouthing me because my prices are too high and I'm doing the firewood wrong.
Yeah, you're a
But
ripoff, aren't you?
who's yeah, until he's like, wait a second, my fire went
Yeah.
out.
I'm I'm glad you distinguish and set that, that you stacked it north and south because you should tell them I can give you east to west stacked wood. You see how you like that?
Yeah. And there's still an occasional mushroom, but it doesn't go in the pile,
Right.
I throw it into my new style. I'm making this new mini firewood. It's called mini mushroom firewood. Yeah.
Oh,
So Dan, it's just got me wondering about what is it to be successful at firewood? It's probably I've said this before, it's probably no one else's business but your own. But that's where comparisons then start to, I think, become irrelevant. Because if you're going to compare how, you're a much better company than I am because you make 3 times amount as cordage, I would probably say, well, I'm probably more successful because I make 3 to 4 times more price per cord. And
yeah,
you're going to say that you're the most successful because you got us all trumped times 10.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think it might be a good question to pose to the woodhounds out there listening. Like, what determines your level of success in your wood yard or operation or whatever you do? You could
Yeah.
send us an email and let us know. Thewoodhounds at
Yeah.
gmail.com.
Somewhere out there, Max Weber is smiling down on us. You'll have to Google him. Never
Yeah,
mind.
I was gonna say, okay, I'll take your word on it.
Yeah. Just Google Max Weber. Okay. Yeah, I agree. And I am I am fortunate. Like you said, you don't care what everyone else thinks about you. And that is also an evolution too. Cause when you're younger and in high school, it very much matters because that's why
Oh
you'll
yeah,
be with the in crowd and sit at the correct lunch table and stuff. But as you do get older, you start worrying less about what other people think of you. You worry less about the person honking their horn behind you at the red light. Certain things like that, you just doesn't concern you anymore. And that's what I have found about my firewood business. I see the comments, I hear them, and I chuckle about them. And I think it's important too for people, especially if you're new getting started. I think that's what a lot of people do is they look to the other people to compare. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if that's a good way to approach your enterprise.
No, it definitely is not. It is not.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're in the poorhouse, Dan.
That's right. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, and if anybody out there wants to contribute and help my success, back40minifirewood.com. There you go.
Well, and I will tell everyone too, I'm giving away my mushroom mini firewood, so I'm a better person than Dan
Oh, yeah.
because
Well,
you're
there you
lining your own pockets.
Oh gosh. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Well, Dan, I enjoyed this discussion,
Yeah.
and we are having a break coming in our weather. The sun's out. We're going to get back into the 70s, and I got some more wood to move.
Oh, well, we were below 30 this morning here.
Oh boy.
We're getting into the cold snaps.
Yeah, I've used my ice scraper once so far this late. Are we in fall yet now? I don't even know. Let's fall summer,
Yeah, I think
late
we're still in
summer.
fall. Yep. But
Okay.
all right, yes, good little discussion. Next week we can talk about what determines the success of a podcast episode and see if this one set the mark or not.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Well,
So
we'll
let us
just declare it a success.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll say mission accomplished. So
There we go.
thanks Woodhounds for tuning in to the #1 firewood podcast in the world.
Yeah. And Dan, how about let's strike up the band and let's ask everyone if they would please consider giving us a 5-star rating on the streaming service that you're listening to. And let's also tell everyone to stay
Successful.
and be a
Success.
and have a
Great day.